up, Ralph?
My name is Ralph White, and I'm an alcoholic. Thank you, T. Um, and thank you, Ali, for asking me for a return visit. Um, it reminds me, and especially when I hear Teresa giving me that introduction, and a lot of you guys will say kind things. It's one of the reasons I stay sponsored. It's one of the reasons, one of the things you never do. Don't read your own press clippings and don't grade your own papers. And the good thing about being grounded in a group in Alcoholics Anonymous, when you travel, and when I do something like this, I'll get a lot of accolades. But when you're at a home group or when you with people that see you out, you ain't all that. And they let you know real fast, dude, don't be, or when you're in the house, you ain't running nothing up in here. Step 11, sought through prayer and meditation, improve our conscious contact with God as we understood and praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. And I am so impressed uh, that Ali and Teresa, Kuna, and the gang, that you guys have consistently been showing up in the midst of this pandemic. And yeah, you rose out of this pandemic. And to see how many people are here, to see the level of service and commitment, and to this format, I like uh, this workshop format, because I am unashamedly going to sit here today and share primarily my experience with not only this step, but everything that it's embodied in this step. I'm gonna share my experience with it, which of necessity means that you'll get hopefully not a whole lot of opinion, but you'll get viewpoint, you'll get perspective. That's what you'll get. Whenever a speaker says to me, I'm not sharing my opinion, immediately the first thing I say is, dude, that's your opinion that you're not sharing your opinion. Because I'm listening to your opinion, right? So I ain't tripping off that. So this business of what part of it did I say we're going to talk about? We ask God for inspiration and intuitive thought or decision. We relax and take it easy. We don't struggle. That's at the end of a lot of action up to this point. You know how you hear somebody, I was on a meeting the other day, and when they did the reading, they were reading the 12 steps, and in their format, when they read the steps, a person shares, this is the principle behind that steps, that one honesty, some forgiveness, and so they would share that. And which is, that's kind of cool, but it gives the impression, especially if you knew, that you can specifically match a principle to each one of our steps. The truth of the matter is there are so many principles embodied in all of the steps. And one of the running principles underneath all of them, each step, is humility, is the principle of humility. That one is our bedrock. And so by the time we get to the 11th step, um, this idea of of close contact and conscious contact with the power, this idea of communion. I'm gonna share some stuff, you guys, and it's some of it I usually let stay in my head. I think I do a disservice sometimes to people because I'm where I am now. And sometimes I'm in a hurry and I discount the journey to get to where I am now, and the journey is as valuable as it is being wherever you are, because all of us are in a journey. And what I mean by that is there were things that I used to just think were nuggets, when you're going through the book and when you're going through the process. And people who are just now experiencing it are experiencing it that way. I kind of be like, I ain't trying to deal with it, but it's valuable when you right where you are. And so sometimes I hesitate to share some of where I am now, but since you guys asked me, I'm going to share it. Uh, uh, and it's as a result of growing through this process that you introduced me to. I was at a meeting when I was about 90 days sober, and it was an 11-step meeting. And Tia was at the old Crenshaw Lotto Club upstairs on before it was Martin Luther King, when it was still Santa Barbara. And it was upstairs, and Donna T was up at the meeting that day, and she was leading the meeting, and the meeting was 11 step. And I remember wanting to raise my hand to talk, because I always raise my hand at that period. I was on fire. And I remember getting up and saying, you guys say the steps have to be worked in order, but they really don't. Because I've been praying since I got here. Forget the meditation part. That's a side issue. But I've been praying since the time I got here. I said a prayer when I first got sober. God, please help me. Every night when I go to bed, I pray. Old timers used to say, put your shoes up under the bed. And when you get out in the morning, you got to get on your knees to get them. Say a prayer. I'm praying in the morning. So, and I'm just earnestly going in, you guys. I'm schooling you guys, right? With the knowledge I have at the time. It's a couple of people on here that I know feel the need to school us. I see you, but I'm not gonna say nothing. But I was schooling people, and old timers were doing what they do now, just looking. Okay. And I didn't realize at the time the full scope of the 11th step. Sought through prayer and prayer to improve I didn't realize I didn't have a conscious contact. I didn't have a contact. That's the same thing with the 12th step when it talks about, having had a spiritual awakening, we carry this message. At that time, I was saying, I already work with it, which is true, but that's different than what we do at the 12th step. So in this 11th step work for people who are new on here and are thinking to themselves one of two things. One, I'm already doing that. I pray already. What are they talking about? What's the big deal? Or more to the point, what most people think is daunting and it's intimidating and it's beyond. I think I saw Peter on here when I first got on, and I can remember, and this is not new, you guys. This is when I was pretty deep into recovery. I can remember people who did a lot of talking about meditation, and it would make me squirm and I get uncomfortable. And I would do what it is that I do. If it's not my experience, I discount it being your real experience. And I treat it as if my experience is the experience. So people who talked about getting up at 5 in the morning, people who talked about sitting and dedicating an hour for meditation every day, I would, because I came with a scoffer spirit anyway. I came with a scoffer's heart to Alcoholics Anonymous. I came as a skeptic and a cynic. I came as one who uh, bristled with antagonism at the thought of a God personal to me. I have that in me, and still there are vestiges of it. If your walk is too pious, I'm doing it to me right now. I recoil, and because I do that, check this out. Sometimes I'm hesitant to to share my own deep dive because I'm still stuck in what I think and how I want people to perceive me. And because I knew how I looked at people like that, I don't want people to look, because there are times now when because now that I've tasted some of what other people used to say, now I get it. That's always been my story. You know, I don't get it till I experience it. Everybody doesn't have to be that way, but that seems to be my particular curse. I didn't get it in the 5th step till I did a 5th step. I would listen to you guys, and the problem with a guy like me, when you don't get it, is you minimize and you discount it for other people, and you tend to, and uh, you marginalize their experience, because you can't be ahead of me. You can't be bigger than me. You can't be better than me. And really what it all reduces to is I can't be smarter than you, because that's how I feel about myself, that fear. And so 11th step has been a journey for me. It has really taken on more significance since I've been in the pandemic, and have had the opportunity to listen to some other people and have the opportunity to sit with myself even more. So this business of what you guys, what I said we're going to talk about today, we ask God for inspiration, intuitive thought, or decision. You know, for people that's new, the 10 step promises, I'm gonna go back to the 10th step, the 11th step, that right there, we ask God for an intuitive thought or action. It's not something that I can just read up on and say I have it because I read it. It's not something that people popularly say when it's in the, oh, it's in the book. So the book tells me that I'll intuitively, no, it don't tell you that. It tells you that if you've done careful inventory more than one time. It tells you that if you've been busy and careful about sweeping your side of the street clean, it tells you that if you've incorporated that, Ralph, as a way that you live your life. And so now the way that I live my life is not blaming other folk, is not um, downing other people, is not comparing myself to other people, it's not trying to be what I think other people want me to be. It's not in the 11th step at the beginning, it's instructional as to why it is I get to the point where I can say, we don't struggle and we relax, we take it easy, and we ask for an intuitive thought. Why can I come to that? Because I clear the ground and I start doing it not just one morning, but I start doing it almost every morning. I ask that my thought life be divorced from self-pity, from selfish or dishonest, motives. And then it says, on that basis, I can now exercise my thinking, and then in the 10th step, it talks about thy will, not mine. That's the proper use of the will. So this whole business, you guys, of growing to the point where I can start relying on that's more than just a notion. I came in 33 years old, when I got to the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I had been a thinking guy all my life. I had been a guy that was a professional guy. I had been a guy that was a schoolboy. I had been a kind of a boy wonder kind of guy. I had always relied on my thinking and my intellect and my mouth. That those had served me well until they didn't. Those are the same things that are my biggest defects of character too, because I know that those are fronts, and I know that you're gonna see me if I can't keep the front up too long. So I have to move, and I have to stick and move all the time in relationships, and I keep them really shallow. And so I came in here, and getting loaded was a was ideal for that kind of living. When you in the life, the life is all about uh don't go deep, don't go in, stay shallow, you know, uh don't let nobody know your business, don't let them see you sweat, don't get caught slipping. Those are all that's all the pillars of being in the life. And so then when you come up in and when you come up in the rooms and they get taken out from under you. And the first thing you do is, if you Ralph White, and you come, I never had a problem with the first step. I never had a problem with that because of the way I got down. And it ended up so ugly. And it ended up so different from the way I started. It ended up so, I like to say transformation. The thing I like the best in the story is when you don't look like your story in the rooms. I didn't look like my own story. I didn't look like the kid that grew up uh, wanting to be uh, an asset to his community. I didn't look like that guy. I didn't look like the guy who said his daughter would never have an absentee dad. I didn't look like that guy. I didn't look like the kid that when I was 15 used to bring my check home to my mom when she was on welfare and give her money every 2 weeks because I wanted my mom to be better. I didn't look like that guy. I didn't look like the guy that everybody thought in high school and in college would be the most likely. I didn't look like that guy. So when I hit you guys, man, first step wasn't, I hear a lot of people struggle with it. That for me, as with this topic I'm going to talk about, when I really get into it, it happened to me. There very little in recovery has been a direct result of me imposing my will on it. It happens to me. Surrender happened to me. 6 and 7, this defects of care, which is another surrender. That's something that happens too. I heard somebody say, "How do you forgive? How do you?" It's not something I do. It's something that happens. You forgive. When my dad, who I had been estranged from for all my life, and I made a call out the blue a few years ago, you guys, before he died, and I made a call out the blue. I didn't know if I had resentment at him or if I was just numb about it. We didn't have a relationship, right? But I had always had this narrative about him. Weak, didn't take care of his family. He answered the phone. I called him on Christmas Eve about 4 years ago, and he answered the phone. Hadn't talked to him in years. And I said, "Do you know who this is?" He's like, "No, who is this?" I'm like, "It's your namesake," because my dad was Ralph White too. And he started crying. And I started crying. And I didn't call him to affirmatively forgive him. It happened. And a lot of you guys on here know that experience of it happens. When we talk about the 10-step promises, one of the biggest miracles in it, that's why I love when T breaks, it just happens. It's no thought or effort on my part. Well, it's a lot of thought and effort on my part. I wrote inventory. I went and did amends to people. I shared this with people. Yeah, but none of it was the thought or effort to taking the taste out of my mouth. None of it was to change my attitude about liquor. None of it was to do that. It just happened. This business of we relax and take it easy, the answers come. But it happens as a result, you guys, of getting on my knees. Well, the first thing I did, because I told you guys, I was beat down already. That part wasn't hard. Second part of the first step was very hard for me. The idea that it was something that I had a mental obsession, that I couldn't stop myself. And the reason that was so hard for me was I never tried to stop myself. I hear a lot of you guys' stories where over and over you got loaded against your will. I never tried to stop till I got to y'all. I tried to stop spending old paychecks. I tried to stop being out longer than I said. I started to stop having consequences. But because you guys, I'm not a purebred one thing, because I'm a drinker, I'm a smoker, I'm a weed smoker, I'm a cocaine, I never tried to stop everything. I always thought smoking some weed when I'm a granddaddy, I'll do that till the day I die. Drinking, that ain't no big thing. So I try you see what I'm saying? So I never tried that. That aspect of the second step I had to get after I met you guys. After I met you, relapsed a couple of times, you know, and then got a clear understanding, because I first came around here in 1985. And I had 2 relapses, and so then I got a clear understanding of my condition. And then I got on my knees, you guys. And after I got off my knees, wanting to be other than what I was, then I started taking these actions. And these actions that I take have led me to choose this topic that I chose today. We ask God for inspiration, intuitive thought, or decision. How do you get to that? How do you get to it? And how do you know you're there? And do you really get to it? I imagine it's a bunch of people. We got 400 people sitting on here right now. And I imagine we got a whole bunch of people on here that have completed all 12 steps, right? We got a whole people on here that sponsor people. We got a whole lot of people on here that are sponsored, right? And if I was to say a show of hands right now, who is wrestling with something right now? Wrestling with something right now that's got you off center. Who's wrestling with something right now that's got you like, I don't see no way out of this one. Who's wrestling with something? So, that's why, this is what I say to myself, you guys. I don't say it to you guys. I say it to myself. When I talk to sponsees and when I talk to close people, sometimes they get mad at me because they think that I'm somehow um, demeaning or diminishing what it is that you're saying, but I'm really not. I'm really, really not. When I say, where are you on your third step? All of us can say easy, God is everything or he is nothing. Okay, if God is everything or he is nothing, why I see so many of them hands? Because I'm not a believer, you know. Don't let learning get in the way of seeking, you guys. Don't let learning get in the way of seeking. And what do I mean by that? I mean, we come on here, this is one of the great vehicles. And a lot of people are on here. Some people are taking notes. Some people take notes whenever there's a speaker that comes on here. Some people do big book stuff and they highlight and they underline. And then I get so busy with the learning that I stop seeking because I know the language. I know what I'm supposed to do. I know what I'm supposed to say. I know to say God is everything, but I can't sleep at night because I can't see this outcome. I know to say God is everything, but I just can't seem to shake this one, Ralph. I can't seem to not, and so for me, this is what I do with those situations, you guys. What you do speaks so loud, I can't hear what you say. I say that to myself. What you do speak so loud, I can't hear what you say. Dude, if you standing on this, sometimes don't you guys think if God, and I think now we getting way into all of Ralph White's thoughts and what I think, because how many of us are seekers? How many of us believe God could and would if he was sought? How many of us believe that when we do these 12 steps, we are diligently seeking to do, start through prayer, meditation, and check this out. I'm gonna make it easy. I'm gonna make it easy for everybody here that thinks that's a hard way to go and it's a hard thing and it's gonna take a lifetime to do it. I believe, based on my track record, I'm gonna submit this for your consideration too, based on your own track record. For all of us who seeking God hard, I believe that God has been relentlessly seeking me way harder than I see. I believe God is relentlessly seeking me. I believe that with everything in me. Why would I say that? Dude, you had a pipe in your mouth, you had a bottle in your hand, you had a joint that you said you'd be in a rocking chair smoking. You had a situation when you were 33 years old, when you thought you'd never be welcome in anybody's house, you'd never be welcome in anybody's life. You had a situation where you thought you would never be employable again, and then something entered your life 35 years ago, and you've never been the same. You've never been the same. This is a pandemic, but you had a personal pandemic that makes this pandemic look like the common cold. And something relieve you of that. And every now and then you sit up in front of people and tell them what you know relieve you of that. And yet, he or she will leave you and you will wonder, oh my God, I'm falling apart. Ain't no power. And yet, you done had a house taken from you because of decisions you made based on self. You done lost a house. You done lost your money. You done lost a job. You've gone without work for 3 years, never homeless, never died. And now today, with that in your rearview mirror, you can say, I never had it so good. And yet and still, when this dude came at you sideways in this deal you were in, and he said something to you that really took you to a place you haven't been in a while. You couldn't pray. You couldn't feel the presence of. You still feel like it's times when I don't know outcomes. It's time that God ain't answering fast. That always amazes me to hear that come out of my own mouth. God ain't answering fast enough. What are you talking about, dude? You in the answer. You living in the answer. You living in it. This power of yours has been pursuing you way more. How many people on here are parents? Your kids, especially little ones, I saw you raising your hand, Ali. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to do one single thing for me to love them. I used to tell my girls, because they said, Daddy, I can't stand you. When they were 16, both of them said it. Daddy, you make me sick. And I would always say, I can love you longer and harder than you can stay mad at me. What kind of power? And that's me with human conditional love. Sometimes when I think about this power, because I turn away and I talk shit to his kids and I talk about him, and sometimes I can't find no way to pray, and sometimes I find myself in back against the wall situation. Dude, dude, why are you tripping off this? What have I not shown you? And when have I not been there? I was driving. So this business, I told you guys, we going some places. You shouldn't ask me to come talk about this, Ali. Because the stuff just been stirring in my spirit, you guys, and where I've been taken. I was driving yesterday, in the workshop, we on the 10th step. And I've been really, and I work with a bunch of sponsees that are the best in the sense of just stretching me and just enhancing me and just growing me. And they be 10 stepping, and not only them, but it's some of you good people be 10 stepping. And so, check this out. And so I was watching, because my watcher, for those of you who don't know about the 10 step, for the people who are new, our 10th step is continue to take personal inventory. And when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. I know I'm going all over all the steps, T, and I'm sorry, but they integrated for me, And so when you get, because the 11th step has some stuff that it says in the 10th step, all during the day, your will, not mine, be done. That is clearing the way for the right thought to come. Relax, don't struggle. If you stay in that attitude all through the day, every day, but it's got to be every day, all through the day, every day, all through the day. Attitudinal, right? It's position. But anyway, so I'm watching, because I got people to do watching, so I'm watching. Our 10th step, you guys, for those who don't know, there are 5 aspects to it. The first one is watch, because now I've done my inventory, I've done this resentment inventory, this fear inventory, this sex conduct inventory, I've done a 6 and 7. I've gone out to people and I've started cleaning up my side of the street. All these ego reducing series of exercises, but Ralph is an ego inflator. Yeah, it's supposed to be ego reduced, but it's just like a toilet. When you flush the toilet and the water go down, all of a sudden it rises, right? That's what ego does. And the 10th step is like flush, right? And so that 10th step, flush, get all the way back up. And so uh, but it anticipates that, right? For me, it knows Ralph is gone. That ego ain't gonna stay down. He just got through making amends. He felt so good, because the cold thing about it is these ego reducing things inflate my. Damn, I just came from making a hell of amends. We cried. My ex-wife, we cried. I felt the humility of not saying nothing back to him. Now all of a sudden, I'm getting ego because of that. Let me go brag about these amends I made, and I'm getting big. And so anyway, so we watch. That's the first thing we do. Watch for resentment, dishonesty, selfishness and fear. Same thing we did when we did a 4th step. When they crop up, we ask God to remove. I don't always ask. Second thing. Then I discuss it, you know. And then, and then I make amends. Then I turn to somebody I could help, right? But I'm watching. So I'm driving. I'm watching, because something was disturbing me, right? And I didn't know what it was. So I was trying to decide, is this a fear? Is this a fear? Because some money stuff is going on, and it ain't look like this for me in a minute, right? And I don't usually sweat that, but some stuff is invading me. Uh, and the way it invaded me was not uh, outwardly, but I found myself kind of lethargic. I don't feel like moving. So I'm in the car and I'm watching. Check this out, all you watchers. So I'm driving and I'm watching. And I'm watching for fear. And I'm watching for resentment. And I'm watching for dishonesty. And something came on the radar while I was watching. And I didn't expect it. And what came on the radar, I was driving. Now I'm crying because what came on the radar while I was watching for selfish, dishonest, you know, and and the fear and the resentment was gratitude. Popped up without me inviting it. Popped up without me saying, this is the antidote, do a gratitude. Just popped up on my radar. Just out the blue. It's been gone. I've been having, usually when you say bouts, it's something negative. You say bouts of depression, bouts of anxiety. I've been having these bouts of gratitude. I'm having one now. I've been having these bouts of gratitude. Um, I don't know, maybe Saturday, I had an opportunity to be with most of my family. And uh, I um, I don't struggle and I relax. I got some stuff going on. I was talking to somebody really close to me, and we were talking. And sometimes they take on what I take on. Was talking about this part right here. Well, how did you do that? You know, because you'll piss somebody off sometime when you say God is everything. Oh, how did you? Yeah, I know that. So I know because what we'll say when we off camera, I know that's all right to say in the meeting, but you know what? Every now and then that might be okay for you. And I know that. I know that tone. I know that tone. That's my weapon that I'm gonna use against you to say that might be okay for your self-righteous ass, but us mortals, every now and then, I know that. I know it because I use it. I use it. I've used it before, you know. But I'm gonna share something with you guys, all of you that's on here right now, that there is for real um, a way to get to don't struggle, relax, come to rely on it. Don't happen overnight though. Don't try this if you knew. Don't try this if you knew, but shoot for it. Don't try to claim it when you ain't got it. And the book says you'll pay for it in all kind of absurd actions, you know, but shoot for it. I'm telling you, that's like the 10-step promises. They out there for real. One of the reasons why we do prayer and meditation so consistently, and the words to get to this, you guys. I'm not, you notice I'm not even reading stuff. I'm gonna share with you some of what it is that you can bring to the table. You ain't gotta be deep, you ain't gotta be heavy, you ain't. One of the things you can bring to the table, persistence. One of the things you can always bring to the table, consistent. One of the things you can always bring to the table is want to, desire, you know, and God is relentlessly pursuing you. You ain't got to worry about finding him. He ain't lost. I just need to shrink. He's standing right there. He's pursuing me. Don't even trip off that. Well, what if I don't find him? What if my efforts don't pay? They pay him. The effort is the payoff. And so this business of prayer and meditation, what happens with that, and it really shows up when it talks about, we have intuitive thought, and we relax, we don't struggle, we get guided by this intuitive thought. How does that happen? And what I believe most people think, and even in the 12 and 12, it talks about it being petitional. I don't believe, for me, prayer is really petitional. Okay, Ralph, using words. What does that mean? Most of us think of prayer, we petition in the power. We ask in the power for something. I just got a text from one of my sponsees that he's in ICU right now. He got COVID when he was out of the AA conference. About half my sponsees all have active, and so that idea, but to me, God already know, I don't think prayer for Ralph is petitional, is about the asking. I think it's positional. I think it positions me. I think it positions me. And the consistency and the persistence of praying, being a praying man, is a clear channel, clear channel. That's why every now and then I can rely on this. We can rely on my thinking. We ask God for inspiration and intuitive thought of decision. You know what a lot of my intuitive thought is too? Because sometimes I think when I ask God for this intuitive thought, it means eliminate. The intuitive thought is you better run this by your sponsor. Sometimes the intuitive thought is you need to call somebody on this one, dude. Sometimes the intuitive thought is this one is outside of your lane. Talk to somebody else. I got a sponsor who's got some broad lanes. I got some friends on here. T talks about calling me. I'll run stuff. Sometimes so the intuitive thought, you guys, is not always, oh, just sit up here and rely on it. But a lot of times it is. Don't struggle. And why does that happen? Prayer, 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 meditation, once, twice, a little while, a few times, and constantly asking to the day, thy will, not mine, be done, constantly doing 10 stuff, constantly cleaning up my side of the street as it comes up, constantly and yearly looking at my side. That's what it is that happens. And all of a sudden, I'm not the guy. All of a sudden, I got a clear channel. All of a sudden, this idea of, okay, God gave us brains to think. I'm not one of these people, my best thing. Okay. I ain't scared to exercise it. I ain't scared, because what's the worst that's going to happen? I got a buddy, Danny, and he used to say, I think but two things going to happen, Ralph, lessons and blessings. When you exercise your thinking, what's going to happen? Let me bounce myself back to that chapter, to we agnostics. God is what? Everything or nothing. Unless I'm going out and got some plans to do some serial killing, don't trip. If you ain't got no plans to do no child molesting, serial killing, raping, pillaging, all the rest of that, my stuff is usually make a bad money move, make a bad, do something to somebody in a no. Okay. Should I take this job? And I don't know. Take one. God got you anyway. Should I move here or should I not move? I don't know. God got you anyway. Damn. If I ain't thinking about doing nothing, okay. Lessons and blessings, usually both. So in a way, I don't know, you guys. I kind of feel like today, because I usually try to stay to the task, Ali and T. I feel like today I kind of been all over the place, but y'all invited me. So all y'all that feel like that he didn't stay, blame, whenever it's a speaker, you blame the speaker seat. They the ones that invited you. All the speaker got is what he got. You know what I'm saying? So don't be, my name is Ralph White. I am an alcoholic.